everyone for listening in to the 4 a.m. Empire. Today we have our second guest. Last week we had an amazing guest, and today we have a teenage realtor. He's only 19 years old, got his license when he was 18 and started helping people sell homes, and he overcame adversity as a kid and has now leveraged that into, really pursuing his passions and dreams now instead of waiting until after he graduated college. Our guest from Sacramento, Spencer Sundlie.
Sweet. Thanks you guys for having me today. I appreciate it.
Of course.
I'll just dive right into it, kind of how I got it started into real estate. We'll go from there. So basically, my family is all real estate. My mom's a loan officer. My grandpa's a realtor.
Oh, that's cool.
And so I've been around it my whole life, either going to signings, meeting agents, meeting escrow officers, everything involved with real estate. And so I just kind of started finding my passion, especially being around the loan officer side so much. I knew I didn't want to do that. So I met a bunch of real estate agents, got to know what they did, and my grandpa himself was a realtor as well. And so I learned from him, and I just fell in love with it, found a passion for it, and just kind of dove straight into it. And basically, as soon as I turned 18, I met Miguel here in class in San Diego State. And I knew I wanted to get my license, but I just didn't know where to start. Just because, my grandpa did it, but he was kind of on his own, and I didn't really talk to him that much about real estate. And my mom, had gotten her real estate license in about 20 years, kind of forgot how to start
The process.
And so Miguel had just gotten his license at the time, and he kind of guided me through the process.
Nice. Good mentor.
Yeah, right. And I was working at Chick-fil-A at the time, and I just knew at that point.
Down the street?
Actually in Claremont.
Okay.
And so from there, I was just learning that I did not want to do this. The more, it was great. Don't get me wrong. Chick-fil-A was a great employer.
You're still in school?
Yes. So
Okay.
I have second year now.
Got it.
I'm working on graduating in 3. So
Nice.
I'm already for sure next fall, but I'm working
wants to
next
get out of
spring.
there.
Yeah. I'm ready to go help people find some homes.
Busting a Manny.
Yeah.
Wants to finish early.
But back to the Chick-fil-A thing. So I was doing that, and I was with school. And so I was doing full-time school, 15 units, full-time Chick-fil-A, 40 hours a week, and basically go to class during the morning, go to work from, 3 p.m. all the way till midnight. And I was like, this is horrible. I just don't want to do this anymore. And so that kind of, motivated me when I met Miguel. I was like, dude, how do you get your license? Please tell me, because I'm over the chicken game. So I went, did the process, got my license, and then...
Wait, for the viewers that don't know how to get there, how did you...
Yeah,
what's the
so
name?
basically, Miguel showed me the website called First Tuesday.
Okay.
You do your online courses, you get it, there's 3 exams you have to take. You have to wait 18 days between each exam, so it takes 54 days. To get that certificate, and then once you get that certificate, you're going to mail that into whatever your Department of Real Estate is. For me, it was the California Department of Real Estate, and then they get back to you within 6 weeks. It's a government building, so it usually takes a while. But then you go in person. Yeah, you go in person, you take your exam, and that's kind of just the way to go about it. If you really want to get into it, you definitely need to dive into it and really focus on it, especially for that test, because that test can be tough if you're just new to real estate in general.
Now, personally, a lot of people have asked me this same question about how did I get into real estate and how did I get my license, etc.
I was one of them.
Exactly. And I've told a lot of people, but Spencer's the only one that actually took action on it. Mm-hmm. For me, him asking me was nothing new. Him actually going out and taking the test and reaching out after he got his license, I was impressed because everyone, asks and is curious, but no one takes the first step. So what was what separates you from everybody else that asked the question and has now the process but doesn't take action on it?
I think I had a few things working for me. My passion already for real estate, because I already knew I had an interest in it, and I definitely wanted to do it. Mm-hmm. And you kind of fueled that flame as well. But also not a lot of people during college work, and at least the amount that I was working. Yeah. From what I've met, most of the people I work, they're just full-time students, and they're just waiting to get their degree, then go work. For me, doing that 40 hours a week and not liking my job, that was just put me over the edge. I wanted to do something that I actually wanted to do. And so real estate was definitely my passion. And when you came up to me, gave me the steps, and was like, here, this is how you go about it. And it's really not that hard if you really set your mind to it. And that just, for me, fueled me to do it.
What took you over the edge in the matter of your passion? You said that you grew the passion of that because your family did that. What was the final thing, or what led you to that, or what was it like? All right, this is what I love, and this is what I'm gonna do. Like, what scenario?
So,
what happened exactly?
yeah, going back to when I would go to signings. So signings is when, basically at the end of an escrow for a buyer, they're going to go sign their loan documents, and then within a few days from that, they're going to get their house.
Okay.
And so most of the time, agents will be at that signing. And so I'd meet the agents, and then I'd also meet the clients too, because my mom would be there as well doing the signing. And just, meeting or seeing the process right there, and seeing how happy the buyers are once they're done signing those loan docs, and they're just like, I'm about to own a house. Especially those like first time home buyers. I'm currently dealing with one right now, and like
nice.
He thought he couldn't even own a home. He thought his amount was going to be a mobile home. He thought, I can only afford a mobile home, and that's it. And so I kind of got him into the process, and now once we signed just 2 days ago, he's ecstatic. He's so excited to have a home that he actually owns, whereas a mobile home, he wouldn't actually own it, and it would just be a depreciating asset. Yeah. So that was kind of that moment, those signings, meeting the agents, and then meeting those agents, and then meeting those clients, and just seeing how happy they were. I was like, this is great. Yeah. And then talking to those agents and learning, you get to pretty much be your own boss, and I was like, this is a win-win.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, do you see yourself doing this for a large period of your life, or is it just kind of like a stepping stone into something else?
That's a good question. I've definitely thought about that, and it's both. Like, I love doing the sales, especially residential. I also want to branch out into commercial, but I also want to do investing in buying multifamily units and stuff like that, so I don't have to be in the sales game forever, because sales is competitive. It's tough, and it just, that's the way it is. And so I definitely see myself wanting to branch out into those different things of real estate, just to, broaden my horizons in a sense.
I've actually looked at I like watching YouTube videos on real estate, and they've always said get rentals, because it's income, passive income. You don't have to worry about that. Well, I mean, depends on your renters too, but, but that's something that I think that a lot of people should look into, because like I said, it's passive income. You just have to focus on finding a good place, just like any other realtor stuff you have to do, right?
For sure.
But
and definitely, I mean, like you were saying, a bunch of people say to do that. Me and Miguel, actually, we went to an open house, the Altman Brothers. They're part of the $1 Million Listings TV show. Yeah. And, we both asked them, like, hey, what advice can you give us? Because we're just starting in a sense, and, you're one of the most well-known realtors, especially in California, let alone the United States. So he was talking the same thing, multifamily units, and because he doesn't want to be in the sales game forever either. Yeah. And he stressed the multifamily units.
Now, another key aspect that I see, like a repetitive thing that you've kind of leveraged for your success, and it's the same thing that came up with Manny. So I'm starting to see patterns with like successful young people, is not being afraid to ask questions. Like he asked this like major realtor who for some people could be intimidating because he's famous. He asked me the question. He asked other realtors like about their careers, like how has that played into you, like not being afraid to be vulnerable in a sense of showing that you don't know, but at the same time like acquiring that knowledge.
And I think that's huge. It's huge. I mean, I wouldn't even know if I would have gotten my license as quickly as I did not meeting you. I went up to you, and I believe I came up to you and asked you, I was like, hey, how do I'm not even knowing you. I just heard you say like you were doing real estate. And so I was like, well, dude, I got to talk to this guy and see how he did it. Yeah. I think that's huge, because if you're not asking questions, then you can't really sometimes you can't solve problems that you need answers for. Mm-hmm. And so or just asking those questions in general is just, it's huge. And
Awesome. Another key aspect that I think like for all these people that are listening, when you got into this industry, in the real estate industry, and same thing with Edgar being in the renovation field, a lot of people that are already established, AOD Renovations, shout out to his company.
Shout out.
A lot of people that are in this industry, and I've seen it myself, are a lot older, already established, 30 years experience. So when you come into this, like you're going to meetings with people who have 30 years of experience and you have 3 months of experience. Like how do you overcome, that, like being so young in such a already established industry?
Well, fake it till you make it. No, I think it's having confidence, knowing that it's something that you want to do, and having that confidence to go and do it. So when you go into these meetings with people with 30 years experience, don't be intimidated. Listen to what they have to say and learn from it. Because if they've been in that business for 30 years, that means they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like
something.
Yeah, right. So when I was interviewing brokers, I was introduced to the one that Miguel works for, Scott Vincent, and he was huge, or he's been huge for 30 years. He's been in the industry, and let alone real estate. There's like I don't know the exact number. It's like a 90%, 95% fail rate. And to be in a business where that's the fail rate, and you have 30 years, and you're still going, that's huge. And so when I saw that, I was like, this guy's a great mentor. And so when I, run into people with more experience than me, I think the biggest thing is to learn from them, but have the confidence to go and talk to them and ask those questions.
Do you like being the underdog, or do you like already coming into something with experience?
That's a good question.
It depends on the situation. I think when it comes to, like, let's say in terms of real estate, like a listing presentation, having experience can definitely be on your side, because having that experience gives you more confidence sometimes. Right. And so for experiences like that, yeah, definitely. But also when it comes to doing, I don't know, like door knocking or stuff like that. I'm sorry, I'm putting everything into real estate tense here, but when you have that underdog feeling, it motivates you more. So right. I think it just depends on the situation, at least for me.
Cool. Awesome. And for all those people, you talked about sales in general being, a lot of people start off in these sales positions, right? Especially when they're trying to get into business, right? They're not jumping into it at 18 years old already being managers or owners of a company, but a lot of times they have to build relationships with clients, and I've had to do sales over the phone, sales by door knocking, and you face a lot of rejection. So can you talk about rejection in general, not necessarily real estate terms, but in general? How do you overcome like that rejection?
I don't know, like I'm a big fan of Gary Vee, and so he kind of just says, who cares what other people say? So, and I take that to heart. So, yeah, okay, someone rejects me. To me, it's just, okay, cool, I didn't care anyway. On to the next one. And then, because once you get that yes, it's amazing.
Worth it?
Yeah, it's worth it. And so once you get that one yes, all of those no's disappear. All that rejection you went through is gone. And so that's kind of how I see it in terms of, like, facing that rejection.
It's just like one no is closer to that next yes, right?
And who knows? I mean, like with real estate, you take rejection, I don't know, 90% of the time.
Right. That's true.
Yeah, I mean, you said you're a huge Gary Vee fan.
Yeah.
So, like, one of the things he talks a lot about is how you shouldn't waste time on the no's.
Yeah.
And look for the yeses.
Definitely.
Right? Because there's tons of yeses out there. We just don't know them.
For sure.
So it's until we go out and ask those people is when we'll get that yes. And, I mean, this applies even for, like, my business, right? There's a lot of customers where it might take a little bit of work to get them to say yes, but they were already a yes. They just need a little bit of persuasion. There's other customers that are like 100% no. They're just, some people just want information. Other people just like to waste time or like to whatever, right? And there's people where you don't have to do anything. You just have to show up and it's ready to go.
And you definitely need to feel that out, because you can definitely tell when as soon as you start conversating with someone, you can instantly be like, this guy's a no. Especially if someone slams the door on you, that's a no.
Guaranteed.
And then when people are super interested in you, that's a yes. Maybe you need to push a little bit harder, but definitely worth it.
Now, when you started real estate, did you already have social skills? Because you need to be a people person to talk to these people. You can't just be like, you want to buy a house?
Yeah, right. No, you definitely, because people want to work with people they like.
Of course.
And I definitely think I got my social skills from Chick-fil-A. Before working at Chick-fil-A, I was probably the most shy kid, and I didn't really go out, didn't really talk to people. And
Dude, that's facts.
Working at Chick-fil-A, I had to talk to a bunch of people and
daily,
and that's one of the busiest fast food restaurants. So it's like hundreds of people a day, and you have to have that Chick-fil-A enthusiasm, right? So you got to always be smiling and being able to conversate with people.
What's a tip or a trick that you can tell our viewers and listeners to be more enthusiastic, or something that helps you be the icebreaker,
Find something, for the first part, find something that like motivates you or always puts a smile on your face. Because smiling is contagious. Like if I smile at someone, they're gonna smile back, like right there. See, right? So,
got me.
So for that, just finding a way that motivates or gets you to smile. Because if you're going at it with a happy attitude, you're gonna succeed more. That's just the way it is. Because if you come with a negative attitude, people are gonna read that. They're gonna feel that.
Correct.
So yeah.
Now I really liked how you talked about Chick-fil-A being a leverage one, because even though in the moment you hated the day by day, looking back you said this actually helped you. And a lot of people are going through situations right now where they're struggling or they hate the position that they're in, but when they come out of it, they're going to learn and so many other skills. So, like, just looking at the positive side of it, do you have any other, like, words about that and that experience?
Yeah, so I think any experiences you have, those are, you can learn from them. Even if they're, like, horrible experiences, you can take something from it and learn from it.
You might not even know you'll learn something from that.
Exactly. Maybe you won't even learn until it's gone or a few months later. Looking back at Chick-fil-A, definitely the social skills was huge. But I also learned work ethic. Because at Chick-fil-A, you have to be constantly working and
hustling.
Yeah, like the average time
from chickens.
Yeah, the average
chickens.
Yeah, man, gotta hunt them down. But, no, but the average order from someone taking the order to you getting your food at the store I was working at was like 2 minutes. Right. So the people were making it within 30 seconds. I was bagging it, and we were getting out the window.
Which one was it again?
Well, that one was in Claremont, but the one I was doing better was in Sacramento. So
I bet they're missing you right now.
Yeah, and then just other experiences. Like for me, my father passed away about 2 years ago, and so from that I learned it was a pretty negative experience, right? But from that I learned that we're not here forever. So that also kind of drove me to go chase my passion, which was real estate. So that also helped. And that happened right before I moved to college. So when I met Miguel, I was like, I got to chase this.
Yeah, that's huge because I think a lot of people, there's two types of people, right? The people where they can take a negative and just let them get destroyed by that thing, or the people that use that as fuel, right? And encouragement to go after their dreams, to live their life, because like you said, we don't know when our time is coming.
Yeah.
So how much of an impact did that have on you?
I think it was huge because for me, my father didn't have a lot of family. So it was me and my brother. And so that meant we had to do all the legal stuff. We had to do all the like setting up the funeral and everything like that. And so that kind of just showed me also negative experiences, but I learned how to do that stuff. Yeah. So now I know how to handle if a family member passes away. I know how to do the legal stuff. I know how to set up stuff like that. But in terms of I was leaving for college in a month, so it was definitely like, wow, like should I even go to college? Like I don't feel like doing anything after it all settled after about a month or so. And so I ended up just pushing myself and also coming to that realization that we're not here forever. So I pushed myself to go down to San Diego State, and I'm glad I did because I met Miguel, got my license, and just all these great things came from it, even though it was negative at first.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's crazy. Now, I guess just to wrap up, any other tips or advice for young people that want to pursue something and actually go after it just like you have before?
Don't forget to plug yourself so people can reach you. Yeah.
Okay, for sure, I will. But yeah, no, definitely. I mean, it's first of all, finding your passion. Once you find your passion, then you can kind of take the necessary steps to follow it. So whether that's Googling, how to do that certain thing or reaching out to people in that career field. I think a huge thing now that everyone stresses is LinkedIn. Finding people in your career field, you can go on that. Everything's at your fingertips. Go to LinkedIn, find a person that's doing the job that you want or doing what you want to do. Reach out to them and see if they'll help. Most likely, more than not, they'll want to help you. I think that's just human nature. I don't know about you guys, but if someone came up to you, you'd want to help them, right? Just learn to teach them how you do what you do, right? And so I think just taking that first step and then getting that first yes, that's a recipe for success. So once you go from that first yes, you can just into anything, and you can kind of just go as far as you want in that career field or whatever. So I think that's definitely the biggest motivation that you can get is that first yes.
Another thing, talking about your passion, Gary Vee says the same thing, that you don't know you might think that's your passion, but you don't know until you actually try it and stay in the field. And that's how you learn. You try it, you don't like it, you move on to the next. But if you don't take that first step, you're stuck wanting that passion and not actually achieving that.
And I love something else he stresses is the young age. Mm-hmm. When you're young, go after it. You're young. You got the energy. You've got time. And even if it doesn't, say you reach out to someone, you spent months and months of learning about it, and then you find out you hate it. Mm-hmm. I mean, it doesn't matter. You still have years and years to just figure out what you actually want to do. And I think you had something like that, right? Where you just didn't wait.
Yeah, there's a lot of internships I've taken and jobs that I took them thinking I wanted to do that and completely hated it at the end. But like you said, some people could say I wasted 2 years or wasted 6 months working for something that I hate. but I turned it as a positive thing. Like that's like Manny was saying, like cross another, like a multiple choice answer, right? Process of elimination. If I wanted to do 4 things, I just crossed one down and got closer to the thing I actually want to do.
Yeah, I think that's super important. I feel like in every situation that you are in life, you have to be the best at that thing, right? Mm-hmm. So even if anyone out here is working at McDonald's or Chick-fil-A, right, like you were, if you put your 100% into that, you're actually going to build skills there that are going to lead to something bigger in the future. Like now you have really great people skills that are helping you in real estate due to Chick-fil-A, which at that time, I'm sure you weren't even thinking about, years from now, I'm going to be selling homes and being here is actually helping me out. Yeah. No one ever thinks that way, but in reality, that's the way it goes. So
for you guys, what do you think was that kind of like tipping point, or just in general?
Well, he's actually the one that started the business. He actually got I don't want to say overwhelmed, but a lot of business, and for one guy to handle all that business is a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm just here to relieve some stress off of him. Or maybe just add a little sometimes.
It's funny that you brought up the whole Chick-fil-A thing, because I worked at In-N-Out, which is very like similar.
Same
it's
idea.
Beef, not chicken. Yeah. But we're on the same like quality.
They're popular.
Fast
they're
food,
good
in terms of like work ethic and speed of service.
I can totally relate to that, because In-N-Out actually taught me a lot of skills. The thing is, I actually realized it as I was working there, not right away, but a few months in, I was like, hey, this is actually crazy, because I noticed my work ethic was getting insane simply because at In-N-Out, they have a phrase where it's like, if you have time to lean, you have time to clean, which means which literally means that you shouldn't be ever not doing anything, right? There's always a second. If you have 10 seconds to be hanging out or chilling,
we had the same
you have time to be doing something else.
Right? For us, it was either stocking up drinks, stocking up stuff. So there's definitely there was no chill.
And I basically brought that on with me for everything I do in life. So I always want to be doing something that's going to be productive, right? And whenever I do something that I don't feel is building towards something I'm interested in or want to do in the future, it feels like such, I don't like to dread about the past and mistakes and stuff like that. But the one thing that does bug me is wasting time now. So whenever I waste time, it's that's the biggest, downside to not doing what you really want to be doing that moment. Definitely. And I think that's super important. However, you do have to balance that out with patience and not try to rush things because you don't want to waste time.
Yeah.
So you have to, in the micro, on the day-to-day basis, like Gary Vee says, you want to be quick and you want to do as much as you can in that one day because you don't get that day back. But in the year or 5-year or decade span, right, you want to allow your vision and your goals to slowly expand themselves.
Micro place.
And definitely add on to that, I think back to like a recipe for success is making a schedule, making a calendar and sticking to it. Because once it's in that calendar, for me, like I pretty much have to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's like checking it off that list is just a great feeling, right? So once I put it in that calendar, I'm like, I got to do this.
Yep.
And if it's not in my calendar, there's times where I just forget or I'll just put it off.
Yeah.
And so I think definitely that's another thing, recipe for success for people, looking to just dive into something.
Make a list and check it twice.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, no, well, that's awesome. Thank you again, Spencer, for sharing your story and sharing a lot of key tips and actionable steps. We'll get back to you guys with the 4-minute game plan, kind of our key takeaways from our host of this episode. And if you want to follow what Spencer's doing, his journey in real estate,
you can follow me on Instagram. It's my name, Spencer Sundlie, Sundlie. And if you know anybody who might be looking to buy or sell in all of San Diego County, I'll help them out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you guys, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thanks.
See you.